Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to discuss about the micro teaching one more skill, that is skill of stimulus variation. This is the most important skill to any subject teacher, so to the classroom control. So it is a good skill and useful skill to especially mathematics teacher uh, to manage or organize the class. With this, if you are perfect in this micro teaching skill, that is stimulus variation, you can control the class and you can get the command over the class when you are teaching mathematics in the classroom. Why? Because as with the mathematics teachers, we should maximum time we should stick to the blackboard, and we will neglect the students sometimes when we are writing on the blackboard. So to have a command and control over the students, we should practice this skill perfectly, then automatically we can have the control on the students when we are teaching mathematics in the regular classroom. So what are the components of mathematics micro teaching skill? That is, we will see what are the components of skill of stimulus variation. There are most important components of skill of stimulus variation are 8. Look at the ones. First one is teacher's movement, that is TM. Teacher's movement means here how the teacher is moving in the class, how the teacher is responding, how the movement of the teacher, how is in the classroom when he is writing, when he is interacting with the students, when he is using the classroom, when he is asking the questions. What are the movements of the teachers, how the movements of the teachers we will rate. So the teacher should not stick to the board and should not stand on at one place when the teacher is, when the mathematics teacher is teaching any concept. So the teacher has to move accordingly when when the teacher wants to move, when the teacher wants to ask some questions, when the teacher wants to demonstrate something. So the teacher's movement plays a vital role in the skill of introducing the skill of stimulus variation. So the teacher movements are very good, should be very good. Why? Because when the teacher wants to ask a question, you should move, and where you want to pose the question, there you can move and ask the question. You need not to stay on near the blackboard only. So you can roam in the classroom, and you can uh, ask the students, and you can monitor, you can supervise the students when they are copying from the blackboard or when they are responding to the teacher's questions. So and sometimes he has to give some responses with his movements only. So the component is the first component, teacher's movement is very very essential, we can say. So this is the most important component in the skill of stimulus variation. So uh, this is the first component. If you go to the second component, people's movement, always the people sits in the benches or in their places, they should generally, but they have to move in the classroom accordingly, as per the instruction of the teacher. So whenever the teacher asks the students to come and write something on the blackboard, or demonstrate on the board, or write on the board, or show it, or exhibit it, whatever the student is displaying, sometimes they have to move, they should not stick or should not sit in their respective places. So the people's movement is also required whenever the situation demands. This is also one of the so to make the students active in the classroom, the teacher should motivate the students to move in the classroom accordingly as per the instruction of the teacher. So this is the second component, this should be encouraged in the classroom for the live activities. The third one is teachers gestures. So that you know already, the gestures means expressions. You know already what is expression and gestures, positions. You know these word meaning gestures. So the teacher gestures should not be same always. He should not like a photograph in the classroom. He should act as the uh, good actor in the classroom. So every teacher must maintain, should know some should maintain some gestures according to the response of the students, and whenever they want to make the smile, automatically has to give the smile, and whenever he want to express his anger, he has to express. So this is sometimes the teacher has to appreciate, and sometimes he has to encourage the students. So all these things uh, should be shown in the gestures of every teacher. So the teachers move gestures should not be same always. So the movement what that should be merged with the gestures automatically. The teachers gestures plays a vital role to make the class live and active. So the teachers gesture is most important component in the skill of stimulus variation. The fourth one is sensory focus. So we will have sensory organs, already: eyes, nose, ears, all these things, panchindriya, so we should use all these things when we are focusing, when we are teaching in the classroom. So we should use all these sensory organs to make the students active in the classroom, and to enable the students to understand the concepts when we are teaching mathematics in the classroom. So we should use all the sensor organs to make the lesson or content effective to learn by the students. The fifth one is a change in voice. Already the voice of the teacher should not be same as always. Depends upon the situation, we have to change the voice, the sound, raising or moving down. The voice modulation should be maintained. So suppose if the teacher is want to express his anger, automatically the teacher has to raise his voice. If they want to make the students to give some instructions, you should give the instruction in a raising voice. Suppose if you want to make the silence, you want to appreciate, sometimes also you can give some average voice. So the increasing and decreasing voice is also required according to the situation. If the situation is very worse in the classroom, you can raise the voice. If the situation is pleasant, automatically maintain the general voice in the classroom. If you want to express sometimes the pleasant situation, you can say very nice, whatever it may be. So the pleasant voice, raising voice and decreasing voice should be maintained according to the situation and based on the behavior of the students in the classroom. So this is the most important one to manage the class and to get the command over the students. It's the most important components, we can say. The sixth one is change in interaction pattern. So always we should not maintain the same pattern for interaction. Sometimes we have to ask the children, sometimes we have to make the students to ask themselves, sometimes we have to uh, encourage the students to ask by themselves. Sometimes we should encourage the students to ask the teacher some questions. So there should be some change in interaction pattern. We should not maintain the unique interaction pattern. We should go for the different type of interaction patterns between the students, between the teachers, and between the students and teachers, between the students versus teachers, between the teachers versus student. So that interaction pattern should be changed according to the situation. So the seventh one is pausing. Already we should not continue the lecture or teaching always continuously. Wherever it is necessary, we have to stop, and we should give some gap to the explanation, and we should give some extensive concept. So wherever it is required to stop, we have to give some gap in presentation of the content. That is called pausing. Already we have discussed in the last skill. The last one is very very important component is audio visual switching, AVS. So when the teacher wants to exhibit something, the TLM, that is either it is audio or visual, sometimes audio visual TLM, sometimes only audio TLM, sometimes visual TLM. So some both the TLM, whatever, whenever the teacher wants to exhibit, that should be displayed or presented are exposed to the students whenever the content is present in. So depends upon the situation, depends upon the time the student has to give response. To get the response from the students, the teacher has to use the TLM. Depends upon the time, depend based on the content. Whenever the situation demands, the teacher has to use the TLM accordingly. Then it is called audio visual switching. So most important component in stimulus variations, to make the students to stimulate, we need to use the TLM. And to make the teaching effective one, we should give good use good audio visual teaching aids for making that class effective and make the students to understand the things in a concrete way. So this is the most important component, we can say. This out of these 8 components, the teacher movement is very very important. Teacher gesture is also important. uh, Change in voice is also important. The audio visual switching component is also very very important to make the class effective. These are the components we should maintain to get a good command over the students and in the classroom to present the content in a effective way. So then after we'll see one lesson plan using this skill still stimulus variation, how to write it and how to present it. You know this pattern already. You know the pattern already. uh, the first column, steps. The second one, teachers activity. The student activity is third column. Fourth one is component. As after writing this, understanding the components, we can remove the column and we can modify this components column as blackboard work or TLM. So we are discussing the topic. Which topic we have, I did not announce now. This topic we are going to discuss now. The topic is the preliminary information. We have to write it. You know already what is that. Class 9th class we are discussing, duration 6 minutes. The topic is the perpendicular drawn from the center of a circle to a chord bisects the chord. So this is a topic we are discussing you in the lesson plan using the skill stimulus variation. See the pattern, already. First step is introduction. That is greeting, good morning, good afternoon, or it maybe already. This is called teachers movement. We have discussed already. When we are teaching, when we are greeting the students, automatically we need to stand and we need to stand near the blackboard. We can move in the classroom and we can greet the students and we can wish the students. So this is called teachers movement. Automatically, good morning students, good morning sir or madam, how are you? Fine, thank you sir. This is teachers movement. The second step is components. Second uh, step is presentation. Moving from left to right on the dais. There will be some dais on the classroom regularly, generally in the classroom of every school. Automatically, when the teacher wants to move from ask some questions, the teacher can move from left to right. That is then the teacher is moving. Then she's asking, you all know very well what you mean by a circle. The teacher is already familiar and the teacher students also familiar that what is a circle and its various components like center, chord, radius, etc. The teacher they announce like this and the teacher speaks like this. Automatically the student gives a response, yes sir or madam, because they are very familiar with the words circle, center of the circle, chord of the circle, radius of the circle, etc. So automatically they gives a response, yes sir or madam. Then after moving from left to right, automatically this is fourth one. Now you can see, please prove a perpendicular drawn from the center of a circle to a chord bisects the chord. People draws on a blackboard a circle, a chord, and whatever it may be. 5 seconds pause and 5 observes all the students by moving eyes in, that is. So after asking the question, just take a break for making the students to get the concepts what to draw on the blackboard. Automatically people understand that there should be a circle, there should be a center of the circle, and from that we have to draw a curve and it has to bisect perpendicularly. So they can understand all these things and they comes and draws the figure whatever the teacher is expecting from the student. So one of the students comes and draws the required information using the figure on the blackboard. That is called people's movement. The teacher is asking the students are responding and they are coming from their place to blackboard. So this is called people's movement, TM. The teacher gestures. The teacher is asking the students in a pleasing manner to come and draw on the board. So with the pleasing manner, pleasing moments, pleasing gestures of the teacher, the students comes and draws the picture. So that is called teacher's gestures. The teacher as to should not show on anger or whatever it may be to make the students to come and draw on the picture. So the teacher gestures should be very encouraging. So that is called teacher gesture here TG, and the student is giving some gap between the interaction pattern with the student. So that is called pausing also, we can say the component. Then after drawing on the board, one people comes and draws the figure on the blackboard, I'm saying. Then after calls another people to locate the figure drawn on the blackboard to name the components of the circle. So automatically first student comes and draws the figure on the board, and teachers wants to make the students to encourage to participate in the teaching learning activities. So teacher asks students by moving in the classroom and encourages other students to name the parts of the circle which was drawn by the previous student. That is center C, chord AB, perpendicular, circular, perpendicular from C to AB is CM. So these components we can see the teacher is moving in the classroom and is asking the students to come and draw name that parts. So that is people's movements. The students comes and gives the names to the parts of the circle which were drawn by the first student. So this is people's movement. Change in interaction pattern. So when the teacher is asking, there should be some change in that. That means he is not asking the first students to name it. The teacher changed the interaction pattern with the other students to come and draw it. The whole task is not given to only one student. So she changed the interaction pattern with the other students. So this is SIP, change in interaction pattern. Is giving some gap between the activities, teaching learning activities from one student to another students when the teacher is asking. So automatically that is called pausing here. The AVS also we can observe. Why? Because the teacher is also asking using the blackboard and some other TLM also teacher can use circle names and parts. We can prepare the TLM. This is called audio visual switching also, we can say. So whenever the teacher wants to display all these things, she should come with the prepared TLM. Then automatically she can display whatever she want to explain. So this is called AVS, audio visual switching. Sixth one, well. Sixth one, well. Then after giving the names on the board, the teacher should express his happiness, and he has to appreciate the student who has given the names for that one. Well, showing figure drawn on the blackboard with low voice. Yes, like this. This he has. Yes, well, very good. Like this. Can you please tell me what is required in the problem from the figure drawn on the blackboard with a low voice? We should not raise your voice. Why? Because students may get fear. So teacher used to has to use slow voice what to be find out. So automatically when we are expecting something from others, we should not use a high tone. We should high voice. So we should not raise the voice. So the teacher has used to use the low voice to expect the answer from the student. So automatically uh, change in voice column is there. The teacher gesture is also there. teacher movement is also there. So automatically the student replies, we have to prove that am is equal to mp. How will you prove that am is equal to mb? The teacher asks. By the congruency of the two triangles which contain am and mb as their corresponding angles, automatically sides of the triangle, that is, we can see change in interaction pattern and all these things. We can say sensory focus. So by seeing all this, using the brain, eyes and all these things, the sensory focus, we can say the student gives a reply that we should use these all these things to prove the aim is equal to ab, sf is equal, already you, the teacher using, the student using sensory focus, and the teacher is asking change in interaction pattern. Yes, for the positive answer given by the student, automatically the teacher appreciate the students like this. Good. Raising voice. When the teacher wants to appreciate the students, we should use good by raising the voice. How to say AM and MB are their corresponding sides of the congruency of two triangles? By student replies, by construction you can get the congruent triangles, sensory focus and change in voice. Well, nodding the head up and down as accepting. So as accepting we should use like this. Nodding the head up and down, we should accept the response of the student when they are giving the reply. Tell me how to get these two congruent triangles. By joining CA and CB, we get the two triangles CBM and CAM TG. This is a teacher gesture. When we are nodding the head up and down, that is called teacher gesture. Automatically right join, they will follow all these things, they add the things, they can draw the two triangles, change interaction pattern, people's movement, they will come and you will use sensory focus and they will use the audio visual switching these columns. Well, can somebody else help me to establish the congruency between these two triangles? Automatically the students evidently in triangle CBM and triangle CAM, AC is equal to BC, both are radius, and triangle CMA is equal to triangle CMB is equal to 90 degrees and CM is like this. Automatically audio will switching, change interaction patterns, switching sensory focus. By this HRS rule or axiom, the two triangles are congruent. So what do you prove? Pausing 10 seconds, we should wait for some time to conclude the theorem, all these things. What do you prove? Pausing 10 seconds, by the congruency between the two triangles. This proves the congruency of these two triangles, and evidently AM is equal to EMD. The teacher movements, change in voice and pause, we have to maintain all these things. We have to conclude like this. All right, moving towards the students, we should not stand on near the blackboard, I told already, whenever it is not required. So by that, what do you conclude? The teacher student replies, a perpendicular drawn from the center of a circle to curve bisects that curve. The teacher movements and change in voice. Very good. Clapping. We should give the claps to the response of the students for your well establishment of this theorem. Students also clapping. Thank you, teacher or madam or sir. Teachers gestures and people's movement we can expect in this stage. So these are the components and the lesson plan. Like this we have to write when we are writing the lesson plan. Use for the skill of stimulus variation. This helps a lot to make the class live and to motivate the students to participate in the teaching learning activity effectively, and it helps the students to enable themselves to understand the things in a better way, for better understanding. So with this the skill of stimulus variation is completed, and we can expect the next skill of explanation in the next class.